Welcome to the Marketing Revolution podcast. This is the underground movement of savage marketers from all over the world. We are not Fortune 500 companies. We are real entrepreneurs with real businesses that have one major thing in mind: to set goals and devour them daily. Because we understand that everyone wants to eat, but only savage marketers are willing to do the hunt. Now let's get this revolution started. Hey, what's happening, everybody? John Hiley here with the Marketing Revolution podcast and the Marketing Savage Facebook group. I got another Savage Sunday sermon for you all today. And unlike many of my videos, this time I decided to go ahead and go live because it's Sunday, man. And, I didn't pre-record this episode. I'm actually over here at our office and was finishing my second workout on 75 hard. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go live, see what's up with everybody in there so I can see y'all's comments. If you guys want me to see your name, you'll notice that there is a link up inside of the post that will allow approval for me to see your name. Only time that is actually an issue is when it's on a private group. For whatever reason, Facebook gets a little bit iffy about allowing another app to see your name when you comment in a private group. So if you guys click it, you want me to see your name or whatever, I don't need to see your name. I can still answer any questions, stuff like that. Hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday today. And all my apologies here. I got my business partner's logo up in the corner, his Dent Time logo. That's okay, though, because this is a message he'll deeply approve of. So that's another thing with StreamYard, is that you can put a logo up in the corner, and it looks like I got a Dent Time logo on here, but we're all good in the hood. It's all good. And but anyhow, guys, I want to go over this because the message I want to talk about today, and I've talked about this in a lot of my previous podcasts, and I've kind of mentioned how you can learn a lot of things about business just from nature in general. And from understanding nature at a deeper level, you'll actually see reoccurring themes. You'll actually see reoccurring processes inside of nature that once you get really tuned in with the nature of business, you'll actually find that a lot of things work quite similar to each other. I talked about this on one of the previous Savage Sunday sermons, and I talked about at the very beginning of the Bible, how God laid out all of these different structures in the first 7 days that we are to emulate and create inside of our business, inside of our ideas. But I want to go a little bit step further, and I'm not going to get into any Bible quotes or anything like that, but I want to talk specifically about the good farmer and what you can learn from the good farmer. I always said that I thought a farmer was really one of the very first entrepreneurs that opened us up to do something on a daily basis other than hunt and gather. So before the farmer and before, the farmer and before folks that would, I don't know, like fucking herd goats and that kind of stuff, right? So before any of that happened, we were in like a hunter and gatherer phase, meaning that typically our daily energy was stored up just to go out and do one thing, and that was to simply survive, live, eat, stay safe. Well, the farmer comes along, and the farmer figures out that he can or she can create a garden or a farm that can feed the entire village. And then what happens is everybody in the village no longer has to, on a daily basis, day in and day out, have to do the grinding of just eating for that day, right? Because now they're starting to get a bountiful amount of food that is stored up. So at this point, they can actually go out and specialize in other things, right? They can create a freaking wheel, right? Or they can become a cart builder, or they can start working with an ox, so they can actually breed additional ox, so they can go and sell these oxes to the farmer, right? But in that perspective, I got a lot of respect for not only farmers, but just in general for the farming process. And I'm going to tell you guys what I see a lot of issues and a lot of problems inside of businesses that you could really learn from the good farmer. And one of the very first things that you got to understand about the good farmer has knowledge. The good farmer understands a lot of different things, not just one thing specifically, but the good farmer has a multitude of understandings of lots of tiny little details that make a lot of that have to be there, that literally have to be done right. All of these little details have to be done exactly the way that they need to be done, or the good farmer is not going to have a farm. They're not going to have a bountiful crop. And because of that, the good farmer needs what I talked about in one of the previous podcasts this week is a framework. Okay. The good farmer has a framework. They understand exactly what happened, the last generation of farmers and the last generation of farmers. I mean, heck, they even got a farmer's freaking almanac down to the point to where they started recording day in and day out, year in and year out, cycles that will identify to them or give them a good idea what years are going to be bountiful years for them. Farmers have a framework. They have a system. They know exactly what time of year they got to start plowing their fields. They know what time of year they got to start planting their seeds, okay? They know exactly how that has to be done. They know exactly what type of fertilizer that needs to be used. They know what the market looks like. So the seeds that they're planting and the crop that they're growing is going to be valuable at the time of harvest. How many times do you got people that go into businesses or that do things or that bring something to the market that they don't even really understand if there's going to be a demand for that service? You see, the good farmer understands if there's going to be a demand for what it is that he's about to grow. Because if he grows a bunch of shit that nobody else wants, then the good farmer has a problem. The good farmer has a huge problem because all of that work means nothing. And what does that mean in business? That when you go into business, that when you step into the business realm, you got to understand that there's got to be a market out there for exactly what you're selling or exactly what you're doing. You've got to do your due diligence. You've got to do your research, okay? And once you do your due diligence and you do your research and you understand that there's a market out there for what you want, you got to go find somebody who's already got that shit in your market and who's developed a similar framework for you to get what you want, okay? So that's the very first thing. The second thing the good farmer knows that has to be done, the good farmer knows that coins are just not going to roll into double eagles and fall into his pocket without hard work, okay? The good farmer understands that he's going to have to go out into these fields. Hard work is going to have to be done. Hard work is going to have to be put in. And hard work is not only going to have to be put in, it's going to have to be put in before he even gets paid, man. So that's where a lot of people have a problem. And I see a lot of people in business thinking that they can just do a tiny little amount of work, and people should just pull out their wallets and give them money. Unfortunately, proven, if you look at the model of the farmer, the world doesn't work that way. You have to put in hard work first with expectancy that this hard work is going to eventually pay off. So you got to understand that. I see so many people that, number one, they try to go into business and they're confused about why shit's not happening for them. And the very first mistake they have is they don't have a framework. They don't have a playbook. They're not doing anything consistently. They're just literally just drifting like driftwood, hitting the edges of the river and just looking to be caught up in a little rock or something like that on the side of the river. They have no authority. They have no vision of where they're going. They have no framework. They haven't spent the time to research and to understand that there's a demand for what they want. And to top it off, they're not even putting in the fucking hard work to do all of this. Because, see, all of that's hard work. And you're not going to get anywhere without it. Yeah, that's where, you guys hear me talk about very, very spiritual things, very things about, that would sound a lot like the law of attraction, but I don't believe in the law of attraction. I believe one of the things that the law of attraction actually leaves out of the equation is doing the fucking work. You're not going to get anywhere without doing the work, period. And the good farmer knows this. You can look at nature. This thing that we see in nature, this farm that we see, in nature, it's going to show you exactly how you can build your business as well. Okay. So the next thing is the good farmer has faith. And there's a special kind of faith when it comes to planting seeds, meaning that you're literally digging a hole in the ground. You're putting this thing in the ground with hopes that 4, 5, 6 months, 8 months, whatever it takes. I think bamboo, for instance, bamboo farmers, it can take like 5 years. But you're putting faith, you're planting these seeds in the ground that one day they're going to emerge. One day they're going to come out of that earth. And one day that they're going to provide for you. One of the mistakes, big mistakes I see in business is people will get going, right? People will get motivated and people start get going. And then they lose the fucking faith. And most of the time, it doesn't even take a week or two. It doesn't even take, a month. And they start losing the faith. They're like, oh man, I've been working at this business thing every day for like a month. I'm not seeing a whole lot of shit happen. And then their faith is gone, man, and it disappears. And then it becomes a cycle where everything they get into, they never put enough work. They never put enough faith. They never understand exactly where the demand is, and they don't have the framework to propel and move themselves forward. But the key ingredient is that faith, meaning that as you're moving forward, if you understand the framework, you understand there's a market, and you continue moving forward, you got to understand that things are not going to happen overnight. Things are not going to happen overnight. And to be honest with you, you wouldn't really want them to, okay? You wouldn't really want them to, because what would that really forge inside of your character if you just did a tiny little bit of work and money just jumped into your pocket? You know what I mean? Money just fell out of the sky. You did this little tiny little bit of work. Money just fell out of the sky. What would you learn? What would that forge into your character? What type of person would that make you? That would make you a lazy, entitled individual that doesn't know the difference between an imaginary dream and a day of hard fucking work. You don't want that in your character. Neither does the good farmer. The good farmer knows that that's not how it works. The good farmer's got to have faith that when they put them seeds in that ground, that one day them seeds are going to emerge and give a bountiful abundance of life into the good farmer, to the good farmer. And the next thing again, now you think about this, the good farmer has to put in the work, right? Has to understand, has to have the knowledge, has to understand that there's a framework. The good farmer has to know that there's somebody out there willing to purchase his stuff, has to know where to sell it, has to know how to promote it, has to know how to take it there. The good farmer has to have faith that one day that these seeds are going to emerge out of the ground and create a bountiful, abundance of supply. And to top it off, the the good farmer is going to have to go to work again and put in the hard work of yielding, that crop, of processing what that hard work has planted in the ground, and now it's came up, and the farmer has to put in that hard work again. Okay, so now I want you to imagine this framework inside of business, right? So number one, you got to understand your framework. You got to know exactly how to get where you're going, right? The second thing is you got to have the knowledge, right? You got to have the knowledge of knowing how to do it. You got to know the framework, and then you got to put in the work at the beginning, and that's your promotional effort if you're in business, right? That's you going out and telling people, doing your things, doing your due diligence, understanding what the fuck it is that you're trying to sell to people at the highest level possible, and putting that out there into the universe, right? And then all of a sudden, you got to have faith. You got to walk in faith, because the demand's there, the framework's there. You put in the work. Now you got to have faith that it's going to come back, right? And then all of a sudden, all of it comes rushing in one day, right? That's exactly how it happens too, guys. I have opened up multiple business after business after business. All of it works that way. All of it works that way. You got to have faith. There's a certain level that at one point in just about every business that I launched, there's a dip where you go into kind of like this depression, and you're like, oh shit, man, I don't even know if this is going to work, right? And then all of a sudden, boom, it skyrockets to the top. And then that is when you got to put the hard work in again, because you are in the fulfillment phase of that. You are in the fulfillment phase You are in the delivery, the fulfillment of the product, fulfillment of the service, fulfillment of this bountiful crop to the world. You are in that phase of existence now. But you got to understand, right? That phase is only going to last for a while. You got to remember that you got to go back to planting the seeds again. You got to go back to doing the work. You got to go back to walking in faith. It's a cycle. It's a cycle that you have to continue. So many people get into that stage of abundance where now they're fulfilling, they're working, right? And then they forget everything else that it took to get them there. They stop planting seeds. They stop, doing the things that actually got them to that point. And then what happens? They start to starve again, and they're like, oh, shit. Oh, man, I'm starving now. So then they remember they've got to go back, right? But what you guys got to do is you guys got to start planting your seeds as you're pulling in that crop, as you're fulfilling that abundance. You guys got to continue to plant seeds, and you guys got to continue to grow. It's a cycle. It goes around in a circle. If you stop and just half the circle, then you're only going to get half the results. It's all going to die. So this is what you got to understand about your business, guys. Something I've been preaching for a long time. And so many of you lose in the faith department. And I'm not talking to all of you because I know you guys are some savage motherfuckers, right? I'm not talking to every one of you guys, but so many people that I see lose when it comes to maintaining the faith. You can give people the framework. You can give people the exact knowledge that it takes, but at some point, they're going to have faith. At some point, they're going to have to step into believing that this hard work is going to pay off. And then once they start fulfilling on this abundance, you got to understand that the cycle is going to start over again. So anyhow, guys, that's my message today. I would say for a Savage Sunday sermon, this is about as close as you can get to God's way as possible. I would say farming in general is probably one of the most honest, hardworking, probably one of the most fulfilling jobs that anybody could ever do. But there's a lot that you can learn from the farmer, and you've got to be able to apply that in your business as well. So, all right, everybody, I appreciate you guys for coming along on this Savage Sunday sermon, the Marketing Revolution podcast. And for any of you guys who are podcast listeners, make sure you step on into the Marketing Savage Facebook group. And for everybody in the Marketing Savage Facebook group, if you guys love these videos, I know a lot of you guys are commenting, loving them. Head on over to the Marketing Revolution podcast and leave me a review. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next one.